afternoon, and welcome to our weekly live coaching in the Bold and Successful Women's Business Owner group. And today we are going to talk about one of the epidemics that's going on in this world, which is stop the glorification of busy. I'm just going to confirm that I'm live so that I can catch your comments if I don't see them here. So give me 1 second, and we are going to spend some time really talking about the unfortunate thing that having constant access to things has amplified the glorification of being busy. So I just want to make sure I'm live, and I am. So I'm going to get started. So yes, I want to talk about, and if you're with me live, say hi. I just saw a hand, so welcome whoever here's live. And let's get into the glorification of busy. And for those who don't know me, my name is Heather Cameron of IgniteYourMarket.com, and my passion is helping women focus in on what's important in their business so they can create their client getting system and they can move strangers to paying clients. And that's what we all need to do in our business. So that's my passion. And I want to talk about this glorification of being busy. And I want to give you and introduce something to you that can really help in being your filter to get out of the glorification of being busy. And there was a great quote that I posted yesterday, or this morning, I think it went out. Busy is a false sense of accomplishment. Stop the addiction to busy and instead be committed to doing more of the right thing for you and for your business. So cell phones have amplified the glorification of being busy, right? How often do you see people sitting, together at a table and everybody's on their cell phone and they can't put it down? And it's not just the younger generation. I see that in our generation, or at least in my generation. There's this addiction. We've done something to our brains to be addicted to pulling these things out and feeling like we have to be doing these things. And so we've created this glorification of being busy. Hi, Linda. Hi, Marie Claire. Thank you so much for joining. And do you feel this? I would love to know how many of you feel this for yourself, and you feel this or you see this in other people, that there's this sense of that we need to be busy. And what I find happens is that the busy isn't necessarily the right busy. So we can make ourselves feel like we're working all the time, like we're doing stuff all the time. And we aren't producing, we aren't getting the results we want because we're doing busy work as opposed to actually working on the things that are going to move our business forward and turning it off when it's not working hours. And actually allowing our minds to rest and our bodies to rest and doing self-care and doing the things that are important to us so that we can be more present and we can be more effective in the times that we're putting towards our work, right? I don't think there's anything, I said this a long time ago. I remember, because I come from a high-tech background, I remember sitting there, and I think I've shared this before, where I was in a room with my boss and he had the first BlackBerry. Hopefully everybody knows what a BlackBerry is, kind of the first cell phone, in his hand, and he was typing under the table while listening to the presentation. And then he said to me quietly, "This thing is so great. I can reach you anywhere in the world, anytime I want." And I remember thinking at that moment, was this quality of life, or was this, at the moment I didn't think of the glorification of being busy, but it was that attachment to self-importance, that having the internet and having our phone, it's created this sense of urgency. It's also created trivial things as being important and urgent, as opposed to really, we've lost an understanding of what's urgent and truly important in our world. We tend to get triggered off of alerts and messages and things coming at us. And we've created this glorification of being busy. And I think from a business perspective, this has been amplified. And I've been thinking a lot about this over the last couple of weeks. This has been amplified with the need to be on Facebook or be on Instagram or however you're promoting your business. It's amplified by people like me who say, well, you got to be posting every day and you have to be doing this every day. That's how you're going to bring people in. And that's okay if there's a strategy behind it. But if you're just posting because somebody's telling you need to get visible, then you're feeding into this glorification of being busy. And one of the best ways to pull yourself back from this is to really audit what you're doing. And hopefully, and I'm curious of those who are listening live, do you see this? Do you see this sense of being busy? I mean, it's been there for a long time where, we think as an entrepreneur, we need to work 24/7 to get the results that we need in our business. And yet I know many people rocking their businesses, whether it's online or offline, and working less hours, and who protect their time, who actually protect their time and say, this is my time. I need this downtime. I need to step away from it. So I want you to think for yourself, be honest with yourself. Do you suffer that glorification of being busy? I know I do. I have moments of it where I've sat at my desk all day long and I've been busy, but actually haven't done the right things that would move my business to the next level. So I've been busy, but I'm not being busy on the right things. And that's what came up with this. And that's where this topic came up from, is that sense of the glorification of being busy. So a couple of things that I recommend to kind of start and move yourself away from the glorification of being busy and really work towards being productive. The first step, I do need a plan, is a plan. So that's a really good example. One of the first steps is of having a plan. But to step away from the glorification of being busy, one of the first things we need to do is be really honest with ourselves and do two things. One is audit your time. Take like a 5-day time period and just audit your time. So every half hour or hour, write down what you're doing. And I would suggest even doing this into the evenings and the weekends, and see how often you're picking up your phone and you're distracting yourself from whatever it is that you're doing, even if doing nothing is what you have planned in that moment. Even just sitting and enjoying the weather and allowing yourself to chill and relax. But if you're doing that with your phone beside you, you're feeding into that glorification of being busy. And if you choose to do this audit on your time, I want to make sure that you do it. It's not about guilt. It's not about, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this. It's just awareness. So when you audit your time, do it with a sense of curiosity, not with a sense of, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And it's not meant to be an exercise to make you feel bad about what you're doing. It's meant to be an exercise of awareness, of curiosity, right? How could I be spending time differently? What would it be like if you chose one day a week? And I did a planning workshop last week with a number of my clients. And one of the exercises that we went through is to get them to try and give themselves the gift of 1 or 2 days a week away from work completely, because that was a topic that came up, that they were working all the time. And so giving themselves the gift of actually not unplugging for a weekend or unplugging for a day, and really not being attached to this thing called a phone, which interrupts us constantly. And it's something I'm working on, because I'm not 100% good at that myself yet. I can detach from work, but I haven't been able to get to the point where I detach from the social side of my phone. And that's probably a little bit to do with pandemic isolation and all the things that we've gone through over the last year. But I think that whole thing, what's happened over the last year, has amplified this glorification of being busy and being attached to the electronics of our world. So the first step is to audit your time and just really be conscious. How much time did you spend working on the internet, on something, and yet it really wasn't moving you towards whatever your goals are for your business? Hi, Charmaine. Welcome, and thank you for being on live. And think about, so the easiest way to do it is every half hour to really write down, well, like, I'll be honest, the last half hour I spent coaching one of my clients, so that was good. But the half hour before that, I was bouncing. And that's something I'm really trying to get better at, which is to turn off all the distractions and not bounce around, because I lose focus, right? I'm working on this and I lose focus. So doing the audit is number one. Number two is to really set business hours and giving yourself a chance to not be busy, to not be focused on your work. So one of the goals and one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur is we get to choose when we work. So if you're working 24/7, if you're working crazy hours, that's your choice. It's not what you have to do. It's what you've chosen to do. And ask yourself in that audit process, is that really helping you really get to the objective and the lifestyle that you want and the quality of life? Or would you be better served by having set working hours and allowing yourself to recharge, allowing yourself to get away from the busy and bring that calmness and that energy to your working day and filter out the stuff that's making you busy? I hope that makes sense. I have a really good colleague, friend of mine, who works 3 days a week. She has to work 3 days a week because she's a single mom And those are the days when her child's in her daughter's 5. So those are the days when her daughter is in school. She has streamlined her business where she is making really good money in those 3 days. She can bring in 10 to 30K a month in those 3 days and deliver to her customers. She knows her sales process. She has it down pat. She knows how she delivers her service, and she can do it. And she doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles in her business. But what she does have is clear focus. She does not spend her time doing busyness. She spends her time with intent and knows how to run her systems and how to do that. And that's the really important part of getting out of this busyness that we have. It's so attractive. I could be on 5 challenges and 5 webinars. I can do all this stuff, and some of them are worth my time. So I'm not saying don't do it. I appreciate you guys being here. If this is worth your time, that is fantastic. So it's about being selective and recognizing what is going to be good for your business and what's not going to be good for your business. So number 1 was do an audit on your time and get really aware of when you're being busy and when you're actually working towards your goals in your business. Number 2 is set those working hours and then manage your expectations around them and adjust them, right? Sometimes our working hours in the summer are going to be different than our working hours in the winter. For us who live in a cold climate, it's just a different pattern that goes on in the summer. So in the summer, we might work, first thing in the morning and do all our work and be done by, let's say, 3 o'clock and go out and enjoy the weather. We may not do that in the winter. We may adjust it differently. So that's the glory of being self-employed, is we get to choose the hours we work. And we get to adjust them, but we still have to put those parameters around it so that we give ourselves the gift of time. And we give ourselves a step away from our business so that we can focus on our business. I'm just looking at my notes so I don't miss anything. One of the things to do during your audit, I'm going to go back to the audit for a second, is not only just recognize the business, but put a dollar value or a number beside what you're doing. And if the dollar value just helps you attach to whether that's bringing in money, but if money is not your motivation for your business, you can put a value. So if doing something really, like, let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example, being on Instagram and going through 100 reels because you're looking for an idea to create a reel, let's say, for example, is that good? Is that a high value task? Probably not. You might give that a 1. If writing an email that's going to put an offer out to your audience is the task that you're doing, that's probably a high value task. So you can start to value your task like 1 or 5, or you can give it a $10. Some people are better at valuing their task by a dollar amount, and some people are better with numbers. So that's a choice for you, but both work. If you're taking a course that's teaching you how to do the next level in your business, that's a high value task. If you're investing in yourself in the right way, it's a high value task, right? So it's okay. It's just being conscious of the value of tasks, and either choose a number 1 to 5, or you can do like simple, some people would do like a $10 task, a $100 task, a $1,000 task. And another way to do it as well is to put it as like a $, $2, 3, 4. However that makes sense to you. It's just making you aware. Again, no guilt associated with this at all. The intention of doing the audit is just making you aware of how you're spending your time. Because if you can spend your time on high value tasks, on the tasks that are going to move your business forward, that are going to allow you to serve more people, that is going to be more beneficial to your business. And if all of your working hours are spent on high value tasks, what happens is some of the low value tasks become unnecessary. You don't need to do them, or they become the tasks that you outsource if that's an option for you. But the things that are going to move your business forward is what you want to spend time on. And if you find yourself avoiding them, then I would ask yourself why. And to be transparent, I probably spent my entire day Monday avoiding high value tasks. My mind just wasn't there. I would have been better. So going back on my own self, because I would have been better taking Monday off than sitting here doing low value busyness and be feeling busy and glorified. Because at the end of the day, I didn't feel good about what I did during the day, because I allowed the busyness to take over versus the high value tasks. And so I'm aware of this, and I really do try to audit it and try and do it. But hindsight being 2020, I would have been better focused on high value tasks, or just taking the day off and realizing my brain wasn't in the game. So it's a good parameter to kind of help you realize when there are those moments where maybe it's just not a good time to be working today. And that's another benefit of being self-employed. You can't do that all the time, otherwise your business isn't going to progress. But just sometimes there are moments when you do need to do that, and self-care would be more important at that moment. But give yourself a guide and audit your time. It's a real eye-opener. Even if you think you're good at time management, it's a real eye-opener to do. The next one I wanted to talk about was really understanding the FMO and JMO. So FMO is the fear of missing out. How many of you have the fear of missing out or the shiny object syndrome? They're kind of the same thing, but slightly different. So FMO is something that the internet just feeds into, right? It sends so much stuff at us, cell phones and Facebook and Instagram. It feeds into a human nature of the fear of missing out. It feeds into that sense of we don't want to miss out. And what I want to do, and this is not my term, but a term I want to introduce for people if you haven't heard of it, is the joy of missing out. And the joy of missing out is when we make a conscious decision to say, no, that's not for me, right? And that is such a freeing decision. So someone came up with the term joy of missing out. There's actually a website called Joy of Missing Out, and it was basically, wasn't business orientated exclusively. It was basically the joy of missing out on this constant barrage of stuff coming at us from social media and from the internet that we get to choose. We get to say, no, that's not for me. And the same thing with shiny object syndromes. I was just coaching a client before I came on here who has a plan. They have a solid plan of what they need to do in the next 6 weeks, but they're not working on the plan. And so I delved down a bit, and they weren't working on the plan because they were in the shiny object syndrome and they didn't see it. But this will be good for me, but you don't really need it right now. And so one of the best ways to manage the joy of missing out, or to move from the fear of missing out and the shiny object syndrome to the joy of missing out, is recognizing when it happens and stopping yourself and asking yourself a really simple set of questions. Is this something that's going to move my business forward? Number one. Is this something I really want to do? Is it a should or is it a want? So do I actually want to do or listen to or read or any of the things that come along with this thing, or am I doing it because I feel I have to, right? And that's a really empowering question. If it's a should and it's someone else's should, why are you responding to that? So asking yourself, whatever it is that's coming at you, asking yourself, is this important? Do I want to do it? Is it going to make a difference for my business? Is it aligned with my business plan? If the answer is no, then let it go and enjoy the experience of the joy of missing out. Just say, nope, that's not for me. A great example about that happened this year was when Clubhouse, if you're familiar with Clubhouse, it's another social media application. When it popped up I guess it got popular in January, February, maybe it was December timeframe, everybody was all over Clubhouse and people were just jumping on it was an amazing marketing model on their part. You had to get invited to Clubhouse. And I'm on Android, so I couldn't get on Clubhouse. So I experienced the fear of missing out. And it's the fear of missing out can be very physical. And it's like, oh, I'd like to know about this, but I couldn't. I actually had a technology barrier that wouldn't let me jump on Clubhouse. And I finally got on Clubhouse on early June. They finally released it on Android, and I got on it, and it's not for me. I mean, it's okay, but it's not something that really drives me. But had I jumped on it then, I might have wasted a huge amount of time. And I know tons of people who wasted a lot of time on Clubhouse. Clubhouse isn't as popular anymore, right? It's gone down. So it's just a simple example of the fear of missing out. I also know people who, when Clubhouse came up, they looked at it and said, no, not for me. I'm happy. It's not for me. It's not part of my plan. My marketing plan is this, and I'm going to stay focused on my marketing plan, and I'm not going to jump over to Clubhouse. And they experience the joy of missing out. And that can be true and I'm just using social media as an example because it's such a demand of our time right now. But there are so many things you can apply this to. So when something new comes to you, you can say, no, that's not for me. And so that's the first part of experience of moving from the fear of missing out to the joy of missing out. Now there's a second part, which is when something is for you. So let's say, for example, Clubhouse was something that was really for me. The next question, is it now? Do I need to jump on Clubhouse right away? Or could I plan to learn about Clubhouse in 6 weeks, in 8 weeks, in 2 months, in 3 months, whatever the time frame is? Can I schedule it as a revisit? And that's a really powerful way to deal with new ideas and new things that come at you, is can you schedule it as a revisit? So for example, with Clubhouse, Android scheduled it for me, which it wasn't our Clubhouse actually, because they didn't develop it for Androids. I have a choice. So when it came out, I revisited it and I didn't really care about it. But an example is Reels. So I use Instagram. I would like to get better on Instagram personally. I find I enjoy the interface for my own personal use. So I'm trying to figure out how I would use it for my business. But it's not the right time to figure that out at this moment in time. And I could easily be pulled over to learning about Reels, to figuring out how to do Instagram. I have a bunch of bookmarks for it, but I am scheduling that to be something that I delve into in September. So I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it now. And by doing that, it gets off my mind. I don't have to have this urgent pull that I'm missing out on something going on Instagram, or I'm missing out on this. I'm going to do that in September. So as a coach, for example, I often point people to different things that match them, but they get to have the choice in the moment to say, yes, this is for me. No, it's not. So that's the first level of it. Or they get to say, yes, it's for me, but I'm not ready for that yet. I'm going to schedule that out. If you've listened to me or you've coached with me or you've worked for me, I think there's huge potential for every business, for most businesses, to leverage Pinterest. But that takes a little bit of thought and work. So although it may be good for your business, it may not be good for your business right now. And that's okay. And then you can park it and you can actually schedule a time to revisit it in your calendar, to go and say, okay, I like this thing. It's interesting. I think I want to do it in my business, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go review it in 2 or 3 months. I'm actually going to schedule it out and put it aside. And how that helps you with this glorification of busy is you no longer have to fit it in. You don't have to work an extra 2 or 3 hours a day to figure something out that you're not even sure is part of your business. And it won't pull you away from whatever your plan is. Right? So having a plan is core to all of this. You have to know what your 90-day plan is. I absolutely love planning 90-day plans. It helps you keep focus, and then bringing yourself back at least once a week to your plan. I really think having a beginning of the week and end of the week ritual is really powerful, where you sit down in the first, either on Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on what suits your style, and actually plan out your week based on your plan, based on your goals. And then at the end of the week, you do an assessment that says, did I make it? Did I actually do what I said I was going to do? Why didn't I do it? And that's another check for this sense of busyness. It's another check where you can say, am I doing this because I think I should? And where's the should coming from? So the fear of missing out is this should thing. It's also, when you think about it from school, from being little kids, it's the fear of not being picked for the team. It's the fear of not being included in the cool kids. It's the fear of all of these things that society has kind of built into us. But this whole social media and cell phones and having things literally at the tip of our fingers 24 hours a day has amplified this busyness. And I don't think it's healthy for us, even if you're not a business, but I really don't think it's healthy, and it doesn't help you get to your goals for your business. Does that make sense for people? Is that helpful? Do you have any questions on this? Anything? I have one more tip I want to give you, but do you have any questions on those things in particular? Do you feel you have a sense of busyness? Do you have that sense of there's just so much coming at you, pulling you in so many directions? Does anybody have any comments on that? If you're listening to the replay, by the way, #replay, love to hear your comments as well. But just if you have any of this, let me know. There are tools to help us, by the way, which most of us don't use. I don't really know if they exist I know they exist on iPhones. I'm sure they exist on Androids as well. Even on your desktop. I'm looking over here because my computer's over here. Thank you, Charmaine. Absolutely. I'm looking over here because I open too many tabs. I am one of these people, and I use tabs as memory. So if there's something I see, instead of reading it, I will open another tab. So it's kind of my way of avoiding the interrupts. I just open more tabs. But what I need to do is I need to close them and hide them. And there's something called one tab on Chrome that lets you do that. You can hit one tab and all your tabs go away, and then you can reopen them. But you can also block Facebook. You can, if you want to have down times, you can block Facebook. It seems I have a sense of laziness. What do you mean by laziness, Linda? Just like the easiness of doing this stuff is lazy, or just getting the focus on that? I have chosen to be offline on most weekends, especially for emails. That's fantastic. I'm okay with emails. I can be offline on emails. My challenge is offline on messages in WhatsApp, because that's how my family communicates. So it's difficult for me to put the phone down enough, and I have to learn to create the parameters to do that. So that's one of mine, but I can be offline on weekends as well. I rarely work on a Sunday, but I could. This is a great example of it. There are a lot of places that I could spend an hour on a Sunday, and I could come in and I could share my freebies, and I could interact in other groups, and I probably would get people signed up to my emails. But I have chosen purposely not to do that on a Sunday. I have, I can't remember what I call them, but my Sundays actually have a name. I get an alert to tell me that my Sundays are my time off. I'm trying to remember what I called Sundays. Switch off Sundays. So my Sundays are called Switch Off Sundays, and I actually get an alert at midnight to say, hey, it's Switch Off Sunday. So I have that concept of really switching off and not working on Sundays to be, I know I'm better off when I do that. When I come in, because it's a rainy weekend or I don't have anything planned, and I actually do a little bit here and a little bit there, I never get a break. So I personally know that I need that Sunday and Saturday, hopefully, but always Sunday is my switch off Sunday, unless I have something big going on where I need to do some work specifically for a target, and that's okay because it's planned. It has a direct link to income. It has a direct link to my business, but generally speaking, I have a switch off Sunday. And that's important. Now, the last one I want to introduce that goes along with all of this stuff is power hours. Do any of you do power hours? It is one of the most effective ways. And there's another method is called the Pomodoro method, I think, and I'll come back to that one. Linda, I know what I need to do. I am procrastinating because I need to learn some tech things. So Linda, I would ask you, excuse me, I'm going to cough. I would ask you, you may not need to learn the tech things you think you need to learn. So sometimes our laziness and our procrastination comes with the story that we're telling ourselves. So technology is a big thing that comes up with people that I work with because there's an intimidation around technology. But everything is figure outable. And technology, Linda, you've been around for a long time in this world, in the online world, in the marketing world. Technology is a lot easier now than it used to be. So there's a lot more over the counter stuff that you can do where you really don't need to learn the level of technology you even needed to learn 2 or 3 years ago. So if technology is the issue, I'd ask you, how can you get some support to get you over that technology thing? What is the little technology thing? Because I'm amazed at what you can get off the counter. I'm the person that I mentioned earlier who is running 3 days a week. She's hitting 10 to 30K. She doesn't have a website. She doesn't have an email list. And I do believe in email lists. So I don't necessarily support that because she's using her whole business is built on success on Instagram. If Instagram went away or she got bumped off of Instagram, she would be in trouble. So it's not the best foundation of her business, but it is an example of success with very simple technology. So all my clients, technology is often the barrier, but it's never really the barrier. It's something that you can figure out. So what stories are you telling yourself around technology that are causing that procrastination? And what do you need to figure out? Hi, Cindy. Thank you. I can't say that word, but I know it's the tomato technique. And the concept of the Pomodoro technique is a 20-minute, I think it is, interval, and then taking a break. I like the power hour more personally because I get more done in an hour. And it's the same concept. It's just a longer period of time. So if you can schedule 2 power hours a day in your schedule where you focus on just working on one thing, 25 minutes? Okay, 25 minutes. I like an hour better because it's a better amount of time and I need the hour focus. But if I spend an hour on Monday writing my emails for the week, I can get all my emails done in that hour most of the time. Or I can get one email done, turn it into a blog. It's amazing what you can get done in an hour when you turn off all your distractions and you decide that you're going to work on that. If you're about to launch a new product or service, or you're about to promote somebody, in an hour, you can write all of your promotion material. So a power hour is really effective. It can be 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. But even just allowing yourself 2 hours a day where you are working on one thing that is going to move your business forward to whatever your goals are. Excuse me. So Marie Claire does 5-minute breaks and then writes out what she's going to do 5 minutes of self-care. That's great. And it's a good point to understand. The power hour is what the power hour or the Pomodoro, I cannot say that word, technique is the same concept. It's focused time without interrupts, and then you give yourself a little reward at the end of it by doing some break or doing something. So if 25-minute intervals work for you with a 5-minute break, that is fantastic. I know for me, I need the hour. The hour really helps focus me. And so understanding that and then doing something in a break, what Marie Claire is sharing, which is push-ups and gardening and doing that for 5 minutes, that is a fantastic way to do it. And I think that's something I need to adopt because I do the hour, but I don't give myself the 10 minutes of something. I do give myself those times during the day, but not after the power hour. I just go and read something. So what you're suggesting is a great way to adapt to that. But the power hour is that same concept, but it's being intentional about what you work on. It's about really planning because we're trying to get rid of the glorification of being busy and get rid of the fear of missing out and the shiny object syndrome and create a plan and work to your plan. You know, all of the people I follow who are really super successful in online marketing, in their businesses, all have a plan and work a plan. I was just sharing with a client before I came on here, someone that she was following, and that person I followed for a long time, she runs exactly the same trainings 3 times a year. 3 different trainings once a year. Her system is down pack, and it is basically writing checks for her because she's worked it out. She doesn't deviate from this ever. Like, I've been following her for maybe 4 or 5 years, and she has been running the same 3 trainings, the same 3 challenges. She does 5-day challenges. She runs the same 3 5-day challenges, delivers the same webinars at the end of the challenges, sends out the same sequence of emails, and she will easily sell out her programs every single time because she has her system is working for her. She's created a very powerful system that works for her, and it keeps growing because more new people keep joining and filling her system. And that's what a pipeline is, or a system. So we all need for our sales. We need a system that we tweak and grow. And I know when she first started out, she tweaked the system until it worked, and she will have to tweak it again if things change, but she's created a system, right? So our power hours and our intention isn't the busy work. She's another good example of somebody who doesn't do the busy work. She does the work that's going to get the results that she wants in her business. And that can be monetary, that can be contribution, impact, but you can't make impact if you don't bring in new people, and you can't bring in new people if you're busy doing all this busy work that actually doesn't get results. I need a system. Yes, we all need a system. And one of the tricks about a system, Mary Claire, is that we have to create the system and we have to commit to it, because sometimes we run it once and we don't get like stellar results because it's the first time we run it, and then we throw it and say, that didn't work. And we create a new system, and we keep doing this versus taking the one system, run it once, and say, what didn't work, what did work. I had a client who ran the system once, and afterwards she said it didn't really work. And then we looked at her numbers, and it actually worked really well, but she didn't have enough people exposed to it. So she needed to rerun it and just focus on bringing more new people in, because the system she created from the point where somebody new showed up in the system to actually getting into a conversation with her and booking was really effective. But she stopped, but she didn't have enough people coming in. So she needed to focus on getting more people aware of it so that she could then get the result that she wanted on the end. And that's the beauty of having a system. So you need to create the system, and you need to work the system and not get distracted by busy stuff. Because it is so easy, and I'm very guilty of it myself. And so part of this training comes from my own experiences. I like to learn. I am by far a very curious learner. And so when somebody does something new that I haven't seen before, I'm curious and I want to go and learn it. And I have to pull myself back from doing that, because there's so much coming up to me all the time. I could be learning all the time and not actually getting the results I want in my business, because it's so easy. There's so much coming at us. So it's about knowing, and it's not learning. I just signed up and I'm doing a really cool course on how to promote your business without social media, because I know that's an important thing to learn for my business. So it's not learning, it's just being selective and really using that fear of missing out, that very simple, is this the right thing for me to spend my time on now? Yes. Then I'm going to fit it in and understand how it fits in, or no, it's not, and I'm going to schedule it at a later time. And that's really that really key thing about moving from the fear of missing out and the glorification of being busy to the joy of missing out and having a profitable business. That's where I want to see people move, including myself, right? So that we get out of this glorification of being busy and move into that joy. Your business can be joyful, right? It can be joyful, it can be exciting, and it doesn't have to be 24/7. It doesn't have to be crazy busy times. It needs to be systematic. Because once you have your system, that's what's going to give you freedom. That's what's going to give you the freedom to continue to grow your business. And it doesn't matter whether your products or services, it doesn't matter whether you're marketing online or offline, you still need that system that turns a stranger into a paying client. When you create that, and when you focus on that, and you focus all your energy on that, you kind of lose the glorification of being busy, and you start to get really focused and streamlined. And that's what we all want. So we're not working 24/7, right? We want freedom businesses, I hope. We want freedom businesses. We want things that bring us joy. We want a business that excites us, that challenges us, because that can be an exciting part of business, is being challenged, but in a way that allows us to have self-care. It allows us to have downtime to spend however we choose, with family and friends, by yourself, whatever it is that generates energy for you. It's important to do. Even not touching your phone. This is one that I've been challenged with someone has challenged me recently about not touching my phone like first thing in the morning. And I don't check business first thing in the morning. I'm fine with that, but I do find I touch my phone, or I pick up my phone because it controls the alarm system to my house, because it's my alarm for waking me up in the morning. Because I'm Canadian and I always want to know the weather before I get dressed. All those kind of things. We've become so attached to this constantly being on that when somebody challenges you about it, you start to think about, really, did I need to do that? So ask yourself, are you touching this thing, this phone? Are you too connected to the internet? Is that contributing to this sense of busyness? Any comments or questions? I sort of went off tangent a little bit there, but some of those things are really important, right? How much are we attached to our phones? How much are we attached to this constant thing? And it was brought to my attention the other day, I had not thought about this, is that Facebook, in particular, Facebook, Instagram, they want us to be on them all the time, because that gives them traffic, which means they can charge more for ads, right? So the more people who are on Facebook and Instagram, the more they can charge for people to do advertising, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, the more money they make. So they have a vested interest in making things like Facebook, Instagram, all of these things semi-addictive, so that you're on there all the time, so that you're creating traffic for them, so they can show those statistics and charge people more to advertise on them. They are businesses, right? They're not free. They're businesses, and they have a business model, and their business model is to get you addicted to what you're doing so that they can put more ads in front of you and they can charge those companies more money. And so there is a philosophy within Facebook and Instagram and all of these things to do that so they can make more money. And so they're businesses on their own right, and we feed into that, and we feed into the addiction, which creates that glorification of being busy. So those are kind of the points I wanted to cover today, which was really be conscious of it, really think about auditing your time, and being aware of how you're spending your time. Be aware when you're feeding into the algorithms, when you're really feeding into that sense of social media taking over your business instead of just being one channel. Because most people in the end, if you're not paying for ads and you're not doing this, is it working for you? Charmaine, I think I'm conscious of my phone and I feel okay leaving it in another room because my grown children find their phones more important than a conversation with with their mom and grandkids, are so overdone with tablets and online gaming that they cannot communicate. Exactly. Right? It's so true. It's scary what society has been created. When you think about it, I've been in business for 16 years. I know Linda's been in business on it as long as I have. There was no Facebook when we started. When I met Linda, and Linda, I don't remember when we met, but when I met Linda, there was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. There was none of this methods to grow your business. You did it by going to networking events. You did it by having a website that people could access. You did it. So Facebook and Instagram and things like this are great tools to grow our business, but they're not the only tools out there. We had different ways of doing this. People have been advertising and been in business for hundreds of years, long before Facebook and Instagram. But for some reason, there's kind of been this shift to thinking this is the way we have to do it, and it's not the way we have to do it. Charmaine, I value technology. I'm very conscious of choosing not to be controlled by it. Exactly. Technology has been a huge gift. I mean, even in the last year, the ability to Zoom and connect with people when we couldn't physically see them. Technology is a beautiful gift. It's when it becomes addictive. And when we need to pick up our phone, when we're sitting at a table having a conversation and everybody's got their phone. Right? Everybody's like picking up their phone and checking things instead of being present in the moment. One of my personal pet peeves is people who don't give respect to the grocery store teller, right? So they're going through a lineup and instead of being respectful to the person who's serving them, they're chatting on the phone and they're not answering them, right? So it's caused a disconnect. Linda, my system is not where I want it, and that should be my focus, not the distraction, which is continuing education and research. Exactly. So Linda, an example for that is, what education can you use to get your system to where you want it? So it's not education and research. It's just realizing when you're over educating and researching, when you're overdoing that, that's costing you. So there's a balance between, I mean, I would be shooting myself in my own foot if I said, don't go and learn, because that's what I do. There's a balance between learning the right things that would help you put your system in place and just over analyzing and going and, oh, maybe that person has the answer and that person has the answer. So there's a balance between learning and doing. It's the fun part. It is the fun part. Learning and educating research can be the fun part. I agree, because I'm a researcher by nature. Like I said earlier, I'm curious. I'm a researcher by nature. But I have to say I have to put my foot in the sand and say, this is what I'm going to do. Got to bring it back to the success of the business that you're creating to support yourself. So what's going to get you that success? And when you have that success, you can go and delve into educating and research all you want, right? So what's going to bring it back? So I'm not advocating, I believe that you have to do training. I believe that you have to learn. It's just when it takes over and makes you so busy that you're not accomplishing the things that you want. So if your system's not where you want it, what do you need to learn? And who do you need to learn it from to get your system to where you want it? And when do you want your system to be there? So a really good way, Linda, to put a stake in the sand is, I want to get my system to be X by September 1st. I'm just throwing a date out there, right? I just did this to a client before I came on there, because I made her type in exactly when she was going to commit to something because she was hoeing and humming, right? And sometimes it's tough love, but putting a date in the sand and saying, I'm going to figure out my system by this date will direct your busyness. It will put your busyness to the place where it needs to be. And then you can still have fun doing that, right? Research, but really focus your research on what part of your systems do you need to figure out, and how are you going to figure that by a particular date. That helps pull in that kind of over research person, because I could do it. I could easily research And I really have a challenge with that myself because I am very technical. So that makes me research even more than what other people would do, because I'm nitpicking the technical part, and that becomes a challenge. Yes, I will discipline myself better and commit to the next 30 days of completing my system. Yay! You have witnesses, Linda. We'll check back with you in 30 days, right? That's the type of commitment that really focuses your business. So congratulations for doing that. That will allow you to now have that fear of missing out. Going to park it. It's not important for the next 30 days. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe I won't, but it's not important for the next 30 days. I am going to live in the joy of missing out and creating my system in the next 30 days. So congratulations for saying that, because that's fantastic. Any other questions or comments? That's what I really wanted to focus on today. I appreciate you guys being online. And if you want any help doing this, just drop me a message. You can PM me, drop me a message if you need some help getting a plan in place, because working the plan is where you're going to get the success in your business. We can hop on a call and we can chat about it. It's about creating the plan that's going to move you to success, which is my passion is action. It really is planning and action. It's what I did in my tech career. It's about having the plan, recognizing the steps that you need to do to make the plan happen and get into action. Because having a plan without action, it's never going to come to volition. And action without a plan, you can end up in a completely different place than you want to be in your business. So they go together, and that's where my passion is. Any other questions or comment? What is your favorite time management book? I am not a book person, so if other people have a book on here that would be your favorite time management book, let me know. Share it with Cindy. I'm not a book person by nature, so I'm more of a to me, my biggest time management thing truly is setting intention, being really clear about my actions. The whole concept, and there's tons of books out there about SMART goals and creating actions around that. I have not. And so that's it. And thank you for asking that question, because it's a good example where we all learn differently. I'm not a book person. I would rather read a trashy romance novel any day than a business book. They're not what I learned from. I learn better from audio or video. So I would be more likely to watch a video, listen to a podcast, do something like that. Books are not where I go. So if anybody else can answer Cindy with a book on Instant Timer. Is Instant Timer a website? Insight Timer, sorry, is that a website, Marie Claire? So there's a great suggestion. So that's what the internet is a wonderful place of knowledge. It's when it takes us away from our goals that the problem exists. The only time management one I would say is I do like Stephen Covey's principles, which is schedule your big rocks first, which is the concept of the power hour. So Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of an Effective something. I don't know if I have one of his books. I'm just trying to look at the title. So Stephen Covey's principles of time management, I think, are not, no pun intended, timeless. I think they are very good. I'm looking up there when I say it. I think they're very good. Simple principles that keep us on management. There's some great videos on him about scheduling the big rocks first. And that's really what the power hour is, or the timer is. That's all about the concept of knowing the things that are the most important for your business. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Thank you. You both got that right. His time management principles are great. Some people, a lot of people believe in the power of your intention in your morning. So how you do that can also be really good. So if you have, like a morning principle, but for me, it's really about setting the beginning and end of the week intentions and knowing what I'm going to do, and really being disciplined to write down my goals every day and tying that back to my plan. Am I working my plan? And how you personally work too, because we all don't work the same. And if I try to, instill my work habits, my good ones, they might not be yours. So it's about finding the one that's right for you. And like I said, if anything else comes up, Cindy, I'll share them with you, but the 7 Habits of Effective People really are some good ones out there. I have one downstairs that I was looking at. See, I take the business books from the library. I don't always read them, about your miracle morning, which is about setting a practice in the morning that sets you up for success, whatever your personal practice would be. Cynthia, I can give you a synopsis over a phone call. Thank you, Linda. that would be great. So Linda, Cindy, connect. You're both wonderful ladies. I know you both, so connect. That might be something really good for both of you. But yeah, so everyone's got a different way of doing it too, which is a great concept. So think about that and really seek out what works for you. But don't get distracted, right? That whole fear of missing out, and really think about the joy of missing out. It's such a powerful concept of giving your permission to not know everything, to not be everywhere, to not have all the answers, and just recognize that you're doing the right things for yourself and your business right now when you focus on your plan and create and get into action. So that was all I had for today. Thank you so much for being on live. I really appreciate the interaction. I will be back next week at 3 p.m. I'm not sure what my topic is going to be next week. If you have any suggestions, let me know. And if you really want to talk about getting down to your plan and working this out, just private message me or put your name at the bottom and let me know. I like Mary Claire's idea of reward. Yes, reward's a wonderful idea. It is. It's absolutely a wonderful idea to reward yourself. And they don't need to be big. They can be little. They can be, give yourself the gift of 10 minutes of silence. Right? I mean, it sounds such a powerful gift. Give yourself the gift of 10 minutes of silence. So thank you all. Have a wonderful week. And we'll be back next week at 3 p.m. Thanks. Bye. Appreciate you being on live, by the way. I really love the interaction. So thank you. Bye.